So my riding story begins at a yard 10 minutes away from my house. I used to go there with my friend for like the pony days they did in the holidays, and then I progressed on to having lessons, and eventually I started going to their pony club, and I was there for about like 3-4 years, and then it sadly closed down. So I moved to a different yard, about half an hour away from me, but this came up. So I used to ride this pony called Snowy, and she was definitely mischief, but she taught me so much. I still miss this little pony to this day. I loved riding her at this point. So this was where I moved to. This was a horse called Tonto, and he's just been doing a bit of a grid. He was actually quite small, looking at him. So this is again Snow, and I plaited her mane. I completely forgot what the plait's called. It might be called diamond plait, I don't know. This is another photo of Snowy. So this was in the summer, and it was our first Gymkhana. I think this was in the year of the World Cup. I have no clue which World Cup. 2018, was it? It might have been. So we're just doing some poles across the diagonal. Yeah, and I never used to ride her with a saddle. Always bareback. This was Tonto again. At this point I used to ride Tonto like a lot. So this was actually Snowy's first canter being ridden. I don't know how accurate that is, but I think, it was her first canter ridden with me. We both look so young. We had a lesson the day after I fell off her in this field. So we were just casually cantering, and she just bronked me off into a load of stinging nettles. Just got up and laughed. So this was Simon, another horse at my other stables. He was a legend. Oh, so I think this is actually like one of the first ever rides I took on Snowy. As you can see, she doesn't really want to move forwards very much. So this is a horse called Saracen. He was quite new there. So I just started riding him at this point. So this was the lesson where I fell off. So basically I fell off the last time going round and was in hospital for 3 days, and that happened to be over Christmas, which I never wish to do again because that was horrible. It's the most painful thing I've ever had to deal with in my life. And also after this, I had to stop going to see Snowy. This was actually the round before I fell off, so you don't actually get to see him. But I think this was the 22nd of 2018 in December. This was actually the first ride back on a pony called Jess. Right, this was Saracen. This was my first lesson back. I was petrified. I wouldn't canter over pole. Even if there was just one pole on the floor, I wouldn't canter over it. This was Drum. So we were looking for a horse to regain my confidence. So we decided to buy Drum. Best decision of my life. So she actually arrived in a massive thunderstorm, the biggest thunderstorm of the summer. So this was her a couple of days into arriving. So this was about midsummer, so it was really warm. Okay, so this day I remember very well. It was our first hack, me and my mum by ourselves, and it was like 31 degrees, so it was boiling, and we got lost. We forgot to turn off at the turning, so we just, yeah. So this was actually our first jump. This was a year after I fell off. Just hanging out in the field. So this is when I'd just gone back to school. This is like when I've had her for a couple of months. And I used to have lessons every Saturday at this point. Okay, we went on a sponsored ride about midsummer, September time. Yeah, I used to get to kiss me in the field with a carrot in my mouth. I used to find it really hard to get a decanter. I never used to be able to get a decanter, but that's definitely improved a lot. So this was our last hack of the year. Well, after school, we still hacked at the weekends. Okay, so this was my first canter bareback on her. Discovered she was very comfortable. Some nice photos being took by not me, some other person. Can't actually remember who took them. No, so this was in midwinter. It was like freezing cold, and it was when I come back from school. I went on quite a few hacks in the winter, and it was mud everywhere. So here it was actually Christmas Day, as you can see. It was very wet. And yeah, she was quite cute because she has tinsel around her neck, and she had a red saddle pad and tinsel and boots on. So this was my first ever canter to a jump in our lesson. So then I started cantering jumps. This was actually exactly a year since I fell off and lost everything. So then around January time, I started trotting bigger cross poles, but I still cantered the smaller ones. I was enjoying very much bareback. Photo credits to my friend. So this was actually one of our first canters along the side of the field, and we discovered we loved it. So at this point it was about February, March, and we started to get confidence to canter bigger jumps. Oh yeah, and this was actually, we decided to go bareback. Well, we didn't. I asked my friend, should I jump with a saddle or without? And they happened to say without. So I jumped without a saddle. Luckily, I'd got all that practice in beforehand with Snowy, where I rode 2 years without a saddle. My position over jumps, I never used to fold. I used to just curl my back because I obviously had fell off and lost all my confidence over jumps. I never used to want to fold. This is back from the sponsored ride again. This must have been, this would have been March time. We hacked to the pub. Okay, we did a bit of tackless, like in April time, March, April. So we were just having a little canter tackless. She was actually really good tackler. She responded a lot to the voice and was very good to slow down. She wouldn't go off with me. Okay, so this time we actually started jumping bigger ones in our lessons. And still loving to go on hacks. So my confidence sky high. So this was actually this month. We went on a hack bareback. And the lovely view from behind drums it is. So this is one of our very recent lessons. It was about a couple of weeks ago. We're doing walk to canter transitions. That was probably the first one we did. And then it does get better. I think this one's one of the last ones. And as you can see, it's a lot better than the first one. So from when we first got her, I couldn't canter. I found it really hard to get her to canter. And now we are cantering. So this was a couple of days ago. Oh, okay, this was our last lesson. So we were doing jumps on the centre line and practicing our striding. So this was actually 2 days ago when I was jumping her. This is, so the first one, this one here was about 75 centimetres. I honestly don't know where I'd be without Drum. She has given me so much confidence and just trust in her. I don't know where I'd be without. She's taken me from not jumping at all, being petrified, to even jump over a pole on the floor, to jumping 75 centimetres with confidence. So that was my riding story. I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I want to say a massive thank you to anyone who's given me the opportunity to ride one of their horses over the years.